Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Sorry for the bit of delay. Trying to adjust things, maneuver myself, and make this look better. So I just moved everything to a different spot so I can see you guys a lot better. The presentation's a little bit better. So hopefully everybody's off to a great start to their weekend. As a Philadelphia sports fan, it was a bit of a depressing week for us Philly fans. We're used to that. I mean, we don't have many championships. We're used to the teams giving us disappointment, and that's what it was this week. As the Eagles had their closing news conference yesterday with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. This news conference is just like nails on a chalkboard. It's just boring. They don't say anything. You got Jalen talking about Jalen a little bit. Nick in his news conferences just generally doesn't say anything. Says that Jalen is always trying to win. And really, let's think about it. What player isn't trying to win? Jalen's got to get better as a quarterback. That fourth down play, I'm still in my head throwing into triple coverage. Watched Jason Avant this week, and he had some really, really great points. Jason's a really articulate guy. He should have his own show, and he's really he's not afraid to say what he thinks. And that's the same thing he does on Eagles post-game live. He basically said, you got to do whatever you have to do to keep that play going longer, meaning Jalen. And I said this when I saw the actual replay of that fourth down play. He had open running room to the right-hand side, and there was nobody there. That's how you keep the play going so receivers could buy some time to get open. He threw into triple coverage, and it was also a fourth guy there too, and you're not going to complete that pass. That last fourth down play just sticks to me so badly. It's just I'm a Jalen guy. I'm a big fan of his, but he has to get better. And it's stuff that's saying that certain things he's not comfortable with in the playbook, and they basically – I don't like using this term dummy down the playbook for him. He's getting paid a lot of money. You got to do what you got to do to win. And you have to. He's the leader of that team. He's gotten them to 2 Super Bowls. He's a good quarterback. It's been said all year, and now a lot more people are saying it. Jalen has to get better. That's the bottom line with the Eagles. This week is probably the best NFL part of the season, divisional round of the playoffs. We get closer to the conference championships, and we get closer to the Super Bowl. We have 2 games today. Starts with a late afternoon game. We have an evening game as well. Same scenario tomorrow. In the AFC, you got the Bills going to the Broncos. It's supposed to be 50 degrees in Denver, so weather shouldn't be a factor in Denver. That's excellent weather for a football game in Denver this time of the year. In the NFC, this is going to be a really interesting game. San Francisco, who beat the Eagles last week in Philly, go to Seattle. They know Seattle pretty well. It's the third meeting between these 2 NFC West teams. I actually like San Francisco in this game, and Seattle is the number 1 seed in the NFC. San Francisco is well coached. Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. You saw what he did last week against Philly. They came with a game plan, and they executed it with a team that had tons of injuries, and they lost their best tight end, George Kittles, and they still found a way to win. Shanahan's doing it with mirrors this year with that San Francisco team. They've had a ton of injuries, and this is where that term goes: next man up. They have not complained about injuries, and that's what good teams do. You don't complain about the injuries. You just the next guy up in line comes in and does his job, performs, and executes the team's game plan, and that's what they've done. Tomorrow in the AFC, you got New England hosting the Texans. The Texans have the best defense in the NFL right now. They're well coached. I picked the Texans before the playoffs start to represent the AFC. This is an interesting game for the Patriots. They beat they in a snoozer in a real bad game last week. They beat the Chargers. The Patriots right now, they got a good defense and well coached. That could be the best game of the card this weekend with two high-powered defenses. In the NFC, you have the Rams going to the Bears. I like the Rams in this game as well. I think the Rams, from man to man, have the best talent in the NFL, and they're well coached. Being the 6th seed, the 5th seed, they're dangerous. If they win this week, they'll play the winner of the 49ers in Seattle for the NFC Championship. And the NFC West has been the best division in football, and they're proving it in the playoffs so far this year. In regards to yesterday's Howie and Nick Sirianni meeting, you just didn't get anything out of it. You just got nothing out of it. It was a snooze fest. They didn't tell you anything important. about what's going to go during the offseason. Just the bottom line, Jalen's got to get better. They got to work on the offensive line. They've suffered injuries, and some guys have really played bad. That offensive line's been the strong point of the Eagles for years, and that's how they're running a game has been successful over the years. They just got to get better, and this was one of those years. Now, for the national media to say the Eagles are done, no way. Here's the difference between every NFL team and the Eagles. Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is a genius. He's the best GM in football. This week, we kept hearing the Giants are coming back when they hired John Harbaugh. I'm not going to be stupid here and say the Giants aren't going to be better. John Harbaugh is an excellent football coach. He comes from the Andy Reid coaching tree. He was with the Eagles for 10 years as their special teams coach. And what he did with Baltimore, he was there for 18 years and won a Super Bowl. I'm going to give you guys this tidbit that I saw this week, and it's pretty interesting, and Giant fans may not like this. In NFL history, there has never, and I repeat, never been a Super Bowl winning head coach that won a Super Bowl with one team and then left to coach another team. It's never happened. Andy Reid left the Eagles. Eagles never won a Super Bowl with him. They got to the Super Bowl, but didn't win a Super Bowl with him. Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, and when he goes to the Giants, will he win a Super Bowl there? We shall see. Time will tell. Giant fans are extremely excited. He hasn't inked the contract yet. Some people are getting nervous. It's a done deal. He'll be the next head coach of the New York Giants. They'll be a better team. The NFC, with all the teams being good, makes that division great. And I'm an Eagles fan. Besides the Eagles, the rest of the division stinks. And it's better for the league. It's better for the division. It's better for the rivalries that all the teams are good. Think about the 90s and the late 80s. All four of the teams were extremely competitive. And the matchups were insane. They were great games. And I want that. Being an Eagles fan, I want the Giants to be better. I want the Cowboys to be better. And I want the Commanders. It's still hard for me to say Commanders. I want the Commanders to be better because it just creates the rivalries where they are and have been. And it's competitive football. It's boring watching my team just dominate the division. I'm just being real with you. It's just boring. It's not good football. And I have a lot of respect for the New York Giants and the organization that they are. I have respect for all the teams in the division. It's best that all the teams are good, just for competitive sake, for football. Monday night, national championship game. It's finally here. It's 2-week rest. It's almost like the Super Bowl gaps. We got Indiana. They are just so good. They are so good and so well coached. And Mendoza, the QB, is just a good quarterback. He's going back home to South Florida. He played his high school football in the Miami area. Actually, he was walking distance as a kid to the Miami facility. He has mentioned he used to walk and watch the Hurricanes practice all the time. So he's coming back home. And Miami, this is basically a home game for them. And everybody in the world is picking Indiana. And nothing wrong with that. It's well deserved. They're a great team and well coached by Kurt Cinetti, who's from Pennsylvania, who has at one point was the Indiana University of Pennsylvania football coach and worked up the coaching tree. Unbelievable coach. Indiana was smart by signing him to an extension. At the time when Penn State was looking for a head coach, he was a name that was widely mentioned. As soon as that happened, Indiana just said, no way, you're not taking our coach. Indiana's going to be around a long time. He's a great coach, and you're seeing that with his teams. There's not really a 5-star player on that Indiana team. Don't need it if you have a good coach and if the kids believe in the system, and he is just a good coach. If people go, well, if you bet the game, what would you do? Take the under. For me, if I was betting it, I would take the under. I could still root for Miami. My guts tell me Miami can win this game, and I think they're going to for a lot of reasons. A lot of people are minimizing how good of a team Miami is. Miami was ranked in the top 5 of the preseason college football poll. They got those 2 losses, and everyone said they're done. From that point on, they worked their way back in. They got into the playoffs. I don't have to tell you the controversy of Miami, Notre Dame, and Alabama. Notre Dame fans saying they should have gotten in over Miami. You might have a better complaint with you should have been in more than Alabama. But Miami's proving that they belong. They went on the road. They beat Texas A&M. They've just been winning, and they're going to have basically a home game for the national title. And I truthfully think they can win the game. Their defense is the key. If they do anything, and I'm sure Jason Taylor, who played in the NFL, is looking for ways to beat Indiana. I'm a big stickler of finding weaknesses and finding ways to stay in the game. And 2 things Miami should do. hopefully they looked at the Penn State game against Indiana, and you remember Penn State almost beat Indiana, not for that great catch in the end zone for Indiana. Penn State played well defensively. That's key for Miami. Miami's got this is elementary pressure on the quarterback. That's football 101. I don't care if you're Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. If you're being pressured, you're not going to be successful, and that's the key. And Miami has a great defense. They have a great defense. They got two guys on the line that are NFL caliber, and I think if defense can keep it close, you run the football. Miami in the last game had 3 drives of 13 plays or more. They do that, run the ball, keep their hand out of the high-power offense of Indiana. They're going to be in this game, and they're going to be down in the last 8 minutes of the game, and anything can happen. I think Miami can win. I'm rooting for them. I'm a huge Kane fan. Let's talk about the Phillies. That's what to talk about. It's been an off-season, been terrible. What happened the other day with Bo Bichette, the Phillies aren't into the baseball game. They don't have a clue. And I'm not a big fan of Dave Dombrowski. He's the issue, and I'll get to that in a minute. Players want the short-term deals because they'll be making more money. They want that. They're in their head is that annual salary. The Phillies offered Bichette 8 years and $220 million in that figure. That's like $20 million a year. The Mets gave him a 4-year deal, and it's around almost $30 million a year. I heard after year 1, it's a buyout. He's still young, and he can get back in the free agent market again and get a big contract. Now, the big key here, a lot of these guys know this, and why they're jumping on the short-term deals this year. I think they see that there's going to be a work stoppage in 2027. The owners want a cap. The players want nothing to do with that. And they are so far apart. I'm going to say this, and I've said it already. In 2027, we may not see a baseball season, period, because that's how far the gap is between these two sides. The players want nothing to do with a cap, nor should they want a cap. I mean, open market and the owners, they're just seeing all these salaries to take the Dodgers. Man, they just signed who they signed, Kyle Tucker. I mean, how many more players can the Dodgers get in their salary? I heard this week they got 8 players making over $100 million. That's insane. Absolutely insane. Major League Baseball, it's the Dodgers and everybody else. The American League is playing who's going to play the Dodgers. The National League, who wants to get beat up in the NLCS against the Dodgers? And I know I have Met fans saying, well, look, we have the richest owner in baseball. You got the Dodgers are owned by a hedge fund guy, a conglomerate hedge fund. It has money galore. I mean, you see it by the salaries that they're signing players for. I mean, Kyle Tucker is going to be making $50 million a year. He's not a $50 million a year player. Okay, I get, someone will pay for it, but he's not a $50 million a year player. He's not. The guy, there's rumors that he really doesn't like playing baseball. He takes time off. He gets injured. That's not a $50 million guy. I mean, Juan Soto is close to a $50 million guy, if anybody is. And it's crazy, the salaries in baseball right now. It's absolutely crazy. You look at the Phillies. They're going to bring up the young guys from the farm system. They just re-signed after they lost out of Bo Bichette, who the night before agreed in principle and with his word said, I'd take the contract. Look, I know baseball's a business and these guys want as much money as possible. I'm one of those guys that if you made a gentleman's agreement, like you agree to the contract, that you should honor it. And I'll say this, when Bo Bichette comes to Philly in Citizens Bank Park, every time he comes up the bat in a New York Mets uniform, he is going to get mercifully booed. And welcome to Philly. Welcome to being on the other side of the dugout with another team when the Philly fans get a hold of you. So let's talk about, I saw this week, I'm a Penn State guy. I'm back on board with Penn State. A lot of you know I wasn't when James Franklin was there. It pained me. It pained me not to root for Penn State. When they fired him, I was doing cartwheels. So this week, I don't know if you saw it. I read it in the paper during the week. James Franklin, they took off James Madison off of their schedule. Same James Madison was in the playoffs, right? They paid him $800,000 to take them off their schedule. This is what James Franklin does. Look at his win-loss record. Look what he does against top 25 teams, and look what he does against non-top 25 teams. He pads his win total. Just a total fraud. Just a fraud. And this is a perfect example. He pays a school $800,000 to take them off their schedule. Who's he going to put on that in that spot? He's not going to put a top 25 team there. Please. He's going to put a Division II or a lower Division I school there. That's an automatic win for him. Okay, that's what he does. That's exactly what he does. I saw that. I just shook my head. I said, thank God he's out of state college and at Penn State. And Penn State, let's talk about them. In the early signing period, they were in a lower tier of commits that they got. Right now, they're getting commits galore. A lot of the Iowa State guys are coming over with Coach Campbell. Plus, they're also getting commits from kids that have not decided on where they're going to school. So it's going to be interesting come February where Penn State is in the recruiting rankings. Did they break the top 25? They were down the bottom because all the guys that were recruited by Franklin followed Franklin to Virginia Tech, which is natural. These coaches go in the parents' houses and recruit the kid, and they promise the parents, hey, look, I'll take care of your kid. I'll make sure he goes to class, gets good grades, family environment. Of course, he recruited him at Penn State, so it makes sense that those guys followed Franklin as the kids from Iowa State are following Campbell to Penn State. Now, he's starting to get guys that are committing from Pennsylvania and the surrounding area of Philly to go on state college. So that should be interesting come the final signing period come February to see where Penn State sits in the top 25 recruiting class. College basketball tonight. Interesting game in the main line. St. John's with Rick Pitino is coming down to play Villanova. Villanova is playing well right now. They're playing good basketball. They have a good shot to make the NCAA tournament. This should be a real test. St. John's is a good team. They're not playing as well as they did last year, but I don't go against Rick Pitino. He'll have them ready. He'll have them ready come Big Ten conference time and come the tournament time. Rick Pitino is a great coach, a huge coach. Okay, John Harbaugh. Let's talk about John. New York Giant fans are saying playoffs next year. We're back. We're this. We're that. Guys had 3 wins this past year. John Harbaugh is not going to give you 6 or 7 wins this year more. Is he going to make you a better team? Yes, he will. He's going to make them a competitive team down the road. Not this year. I think they get, let's see what they do in the draft. Maybe 6 more wins, maybe. Maybe. If I said maybe. Let's go 3 wins to 6. I say 6 wins. So 6 and 11 will be my prediction without the draft. NFC East. That's just before you say the Eagles are dead, the Eagles are done, their dominance of the NFC East is over. I'm going to give you this stat too. They are the 3rd youngest team in the NFC. And I'm going to give you another thing too. Howie Roseman. Nobody in the NFC East has a Howie Roseman. He's an incredible talent evaluator, great GM, and he knows how to utilize the salary cap. Giants, you don't have a Howie Roseman. Cowboys, you don't have a Howie Roseman. The Commanders, you don't have a Howie Roseman. I never count the Eagles out. You all said the same thing in 2023, and what happened in 2024? The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Watch. They will get an offensive coordinator, and this team will be back in 2026. That's my prediction with the Eagles. Okay. I'm going to get into a topic that hits close to home for me, and it goes back to my times when I was broadcasting high school football in Pennsylvania for the team in the state that was tops for a long time under Mike Pettine Sr. Well, his son, who at one point played for him, coached against him, and went to the NFL, just retired after 23 years as an NFL coach. He had coached the last 4 years at Minnesota. At one point was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He started his NFL career with the Ravens. He was part of Rex Ryan's defensive team with the Ravens. He also was with the Jets with Rex. He was with Green Bay. Ends his 23-year career as an NFL coach. Which ironic is he's 59 years old. That's when his dad retired at Central Bucks West. So I guess he had that in his head a little bit. And I know he likes to play a lot of golf, and 59 is pretty young still. So he can enjoy time with his family, kids, and just do what he likes to do and not do the NFL grind. I remember him vividly. Unbelievable quarterback in high school. My high school was the last team. My high school, when they beat them the year that they won the Bucksmont Championship, it's the same team I got into our sports Wall of Fame. Well deserved, well overdue. They were the last HH team to defeat a Mike Pettine and Mike Carey CB West team, and Mike Jr. was the quarterback of that team. He was so highly recruited. I remember hearing his name all the time in high school. He was recruited by Virginia. He wound up going to Virginia. Virginia, you got to have good grades too. He was a smart kid. I remember playing basketball too. Uh, Went to Virginia, then he came back and coached with his dad in the '91 Central Bucks West team. If I named the coaches on that team that finally won a state title in the playoff system, it's a who's who of high school football in PA on that coaching staff. He then eventually went to William Tennant as their head football coach, made them better. All due respect to William Tennant, football program there has been for years like not that good. He made them competitive and good, and that was a step for him. He then went to North Penn. North Penn for years was known as the sleeping giant. The school, everyone said, get them a coach, and they're gonna be really really good. They're still one high school in North Penn. All the schools are breaking up into multiple schools. North Penn is still one high school. He went there to North Penn. I'm going to tell you this. When I was broadcasting, I did a lot of games. I saw a lot of things. And the one thing I never saw all the time I broadcast until 1998 and 99, when West played North Penn both years, both games, they played them in the regular season. They wound up playing them in the playoffs. Games were sold out, right? They locked the gates. I'd never seen that before. All the fans got there, right? And then all of a sudden they shut everything down because it was so overwhelmingly packed. I had never seen that before. There were people outside the gates watching the game at West. It was crazy. It was crazy stuff. I'd never seen that before and never seen it after either. Never seen games be locked down. It was father versus son. 1999 when West beat North Penn. North Penn was number 2 in the state of PA. West was number 1. When after that playoff game, senior whispered in junior's ear, and I heard it, was, this is it. And everyone's going, what do you mean that's it? We knew at that point this was Coach Pettine's last year at West. The father-son thing was stressful on him. And I remember a story. I want to go back a little bit. And this is when Mrs. Pettine had to get involved, because when father was coaching son at West and the son's the QB, and they lost to CB East in 1983 on Thanksgiving, when the Thanksgiving games were traditional in Pennsylvania. They would come home and father was agitated and mad and would talk football. And then that's when his wife would say, no football here at the table at the house. On the field's a different story. At school's a different story, not at home. The stories I heard, the father-son thing, were so intense. And as Coach Pettine got older, I had a great time at sitting in the office with him and learning so much and talking with him. He told me this story. He goes, it was really hard. It was really hard. I put a lot on my son. And the quarterback is a leader of your team. Imagine your father is the head coach of a historic team and you're quarterback of that team. Imagine the stuff he went through. I can only imagine the stories. I would love to get him on with me and talk to him about it, just to learn what that was like. Because I know from talking to people, Mrs. Pettine had to get involved and to say, look, not here. We're home with family. Let's eat and enjoy the time together. That's a true story. So I want to say congratulations to Mike Pettine Jr. Class act. You're just like your dad. The nut doesn't fall too far from the tree. Hell of a coach, hell of a player, and a total class act, and good luck in retirement. So let's look at something I saw with life stories here. I found something in the paper, which is interesting. Look, there's a lot of people out there that like to go out and party, have a good time, and, get behind the wheel of a vehicle. I want you to be very careful about that. This is what's interesting. This is in the eyes of a police officer when they're driving on the road, how they notice there might be a drunk driver. First sign of a possible drunk driver driving a vehicle by a police officer is if a driver has their headlights and taillights off at night. I don't drink anymore, and sometimes I forget to put my lights on, but this is the first sign the police officer has to think, I'm going to follow them a little bit. That's interesting. Interesting that I was reading that. I could see sometimes when a police officer's following somebody and you're swerving a little bit, but that's the first tail sign that the police officer says, you know what? I'm going to follow them for a little bit. It was interesting as I read the article that this is the first thing they look for. Also grabbed something out of I'm an old school type of guy. What things do you do now that are old school in this technology era? I still go out and buy a cup of coffee and get a newspaper. With the social media and the internet the way that it is, and you get your information on social media, I still like getting my cup of coffee and getting a local newspaper and reading the sports page and reading the front of it. I still buy the newspaper. What old school stuff do you still do in this technology driven era? I've got some things I posted on my banner here, and then I'm going to give you a reminder of what I'm doing Wednesday night. And then I will call this a day for Saturday. All right, let me go here and grab my couple banners. I'm going to put these across the board here. Here's one for you. Let's just read this. Best New Jersey shore town. I've got two. One's Brigantine and another one's Avalon. And it's all South Jersey because that's where originally I'm from. I love it. I do love the shore towns here, but those are my two favorites. We'll get to a sports one now. Which team will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl? I'm going to stick by the team I said before it started. The Houston Texans, great defense. And I'm about defenses. Defenses win championships. I don't care what sport it is. At the end of the day, when you get to the playoffs, defenses win. You look at it, football, defense. Basketball, even though the NBA games are just so brutal, the scores are in the 140s, which is nuts. There's no defense played there. When the playoffs eventually begin, you will see playoffs in the NBA. NHL, goaltending and defense. Baseball, pitching, defense. More times than not, good pitching is going to be good hitting come playoff time. So defenses win, in my opinion. There's another one for your baseball fans and New York fans. Cody Bellinger will not sign with the New York Mets. I think he's going back to the Yankees. Here's a musical one for you guys. Your top 3 musicians or bands all time. These are mine, and I put them right up there for you. Led Zeppelin, The Who, and Prince. I am a Prince guy. Even during the time of Michael Jackson, I'm a Michael Jackson fan. I was always a Prince guy. Love Prince. Love Prince. Did you think about who he collaborated with numerous times? Michael Jackson, too. Michael Jackson, you got to give him his due. He had 3 straight albums. He had top 5. That Thriller album had top number 1 songs on every one of those songs on that album. The guy was talented as anything. I was a Michael fan, but I was more of a Prince fan. What else do I have here? And then let's see what I got. I posted a bunch of things here. Let's go with my New York sports buddies are like this. Will the New York Knicks win the NBA championship? They're struggling right now. I don't think they will. I think the team from the West, one of the teams from the Western Conference. I'm not saying Oklahoma City is going to repeat. Oklahoma City is really good. They are young and they got so many draft picks coming over the next few years. They are good. The Knicks are good too. I'm not going to belittle the Knicks. They're good. I think it's going to come down to them in Detroit in the East to see who goes to the championship from the East. Baseball fans, MLB, it's the Dodgers and then everyone else. It's crazy the money that they've spent. I told you earlier, they got 8 players are making 100 million contracts. They just keep spending, man. That hedge fund guy, he just keeps spending. And they've won the World Series 2 years in a row. It's them and everybody else. And the American League is who's going to play them in the World Series and lose. The National League, flip a coin who wants to play them in the National League Championship Series. It's just crazy stuff. Okay, Miami or Indiana Monday night in the national championship game. I'm a Miami fan. I got a ton of respect for Indiana. They're undefeated. Something tells me Miami's going to win the game, and I might be going with my heart, but I think if Miami plays defense and goes offensively running the ball and keeps the ball out of the hands of Indiana as much as possible, if they're within a touchdown or within 3 points or tied with 8 minutes left in the game, Miami's going to win the game. That's just my opinion. Okay, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock. Wednesday, 1/21/26, January 21st, 2026. I will have my very first guest on my podcast. It will be the great Eddie Testa. This should be fun. I hopefully we're relaxed, ask some fun questions, learn a story about Eddie, his experiences in the music industry here in New Jersey, are endless. And a lot of you know him. He's a great guy across the board. And I would first want to thank him for taking the time to come on with me out of his busy schedule. And it wasn't a problem, but I always want to thank him for just taking that time. I'm working on somebody for February. I actually have a preliminary commitment for my February guest. I'll finalize that. I'm just working on being prepared to have fun with Eddie and ask him some good questions. It's going to be a lot of music stuff. Of course, I'm going to try to implement sports with it too, because I'm a sports guy. I like to know what I'm talking to, what sports they like, and everything else. I have questions already prepared for it, and look and be ready for it. I hope you join me. I'll be on here. Okay. Also, be through YouTube and Facebook. I'm trying to work on the other ones. I have to do certain things. You got to get all these other sites that for you to go on the air. They want you to get a following, like followers, or have certain things on their site. That's YouTube too, with getting subscribers. The link to come on board with StreamYard always flashes underneath my studio here. Anyone could come on board and talk whatever you want to talk about, whatever topics I brought up. It could be, you could agree with me, not agree with me. We can go back and forth as you like. Just keep it classy. We can disagree. It's cool. Let's not get personal. Let's have fun. Like I said, I'm not bringing any politics into this. I just don't want to do that. I want us to have a good time. My thing of doing these podcasts is to talk sports, life stuff, and just have fun with it, and hopefully interact with you guys, and eventually have more of you come on board and chat with me. So hopefully you have a great weekend. I'm going to finish this up. I'm about ready to head to Pennsylvania. I love going home. It's makes me happy. We're going to go to the ice sculpture. There's this ice sculpture festival in Lahaska. Great spot. So everybody have a great weekend. Whatever you plan on doing, please be safe. And I'll talk to you guys Wednesday night. Please, I'll be posting it the next few days to remind you. Come listen to me, watch me talk with a great guy. Just unbelievable person, Eddie Testa. Have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Don't say who your next guest might be.
I'm not.
Also, I can show you just it'd be easier. People can't copy and paste it.
Can you do that for me?
Yeah, hold on. Watch. I'll just send you the link.
I gotta end the stream.
Here, short and strong link.